Previously on the Daily Guardsmen.
Take a video of yourself buying that tea at the store and then walking down to a harbor and throwing it in.
I could throw tea bags in. I think if I throw the whole box in, I'll probably get arrested for littering.
No, but what if you just made the tea, put it in like a disposable cup?
Oh, and then pour it out
the water, and then poured it into the water.
Do you want me to do that?
Brilliant.
I can make.
Yeah, you probably could.
Tomorrow, I'll make a cup of tea. I'll walk down the road because I live about 5 minutes from the water, and I'll video myself pouring it into the ocean. I will pour tea.
And can you give us a couple and while doing it, can you say, "Oh, say, can
you see?" Yeah, no, okay, as I promised, I'm gonna be making some tea and pouring it into the local river. Gotta represent my time in CA, so let's make some tea. While we're waiting, we'll grab our tea bags, if I can open it with one hand. We'll grab a lovely tea bag, we dump it in. This is a waste of tea. We screw the lid back on. It's going to be a really awkward walk down to the river and then pouring some tea into the river. But, you know, life's life. Oh, that's the kettle boiled. If I get confronted or like weird looks, well, ow, shit, that's hot. Weird looks while walking down the road with some tea. It's going to be very interesting. You just give that a little stir. It's not done just yet. Then we just get the milk. My mum's going to kill me. I've got no milk left. Oh no. Oh, there's no milk left. It's a very unmilky tea. Okay, we have our tea. I'm gonna put my phone down, put it in my pocket while I leave the house. And then I'm gonna walk down the road and pour this tea into the river. Good old Boston tea party style. It's 10 o'clock at night. If I get weird looks for bringing some tea down the road to pour in the river, I hate you. It's all your fault, King Swag. I'm going down with some tea, going for a lovely walk, down to the river. I wonder if I can access it over there. Oh no, I've got to go the long way. I'm going to get jumped and stabbed. I'm also going to drop this tea mug. This is for you, CA. My cup of tea, walking down the road, looking like an absolute crackhead. Promised Lord Cody Kalinius that I'd do this, but you know. We are now nearly 6 minutes in, and I'm not even at the river yet. Still gotta go home holding a cup of tea. Oh god, there's people over here. Uh-oh. Yes, the water. Now, I'm not gonna pour it directly into the water because I'll have to go over there and drown, but you know, as you can see, you've got the water. Oh shit, this is very steep. Fuck me in the ass, man. Oh shit. Ow. It's very steep. Ow. Oh, I'm really fucking hurt. So here's my tea.
Alright, everybody,
Cody?
Welcome to the Daily Guardsmen, the greatest podcast in all of CA. I'm your host, Cody.
And I am your co-host, King.
And starting off our glorious second season of the Daily Guardsmen will be our owner and commander-in-chief himself, Irongamer45.
Hey, how y'all doing? Interesting that you guys have a podcast. I didn't even know about it. Where have you guys been hiding this thing?
Yep, we've been hiding.
No, it's been,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been going for a little bit now, not too long. Yeah, but none of the brigadier generals or anything like that have been like announcing it or anything like that to the greater community. I'll have to go yell at Jeff about that. Yeah, I just feel like
we
that.
just had our own podcast channel in our Discord where we announce things to the regiment.
Yeah, I was just thinking that probably benefit the whole CA to get something like this out, just in front of everybody rather than keeping it closed up. So I'll have to talk to HQ about that, but it's a good idea.
All right, thanks.
Well, let's just get this started with the topics. So the first topic that we're going to ask is, when did you join the CA?
I believe it was somewhere mid 2017. Actually, it would have been I think it would have been in 7th or 8th grade. It's been a while. Back when Lexington had their state of emergencies, where every single regiment would line up in front of the MP office.
Oh man.
Dude, imagine we did that today.
No, never.
Oh, I don't even think it would work today.
Yeah, there was a
155 players.
Yeah, that Free Knicks thing a while back had 40 men in front of the MP building. It was a bit of a blast in the past, but it never worked out because it was not very coordinated. It never worked to begin with.
Yeah, well, I also feel like just overall games like this have been slowly dwindling over the era in itself. I feel like a lot of people are now, or at least a lot of people in Roblox, ever since Bloxburg came out, all of a sudden everyone's RPing in their little houses rather than, joining games or groups like this.
Yeah.
I will say, I like to think that, I've been here a while myself, so it's interesting to finally find someone who has been here longer than me. 2017 was a long time ago.
Yeah, I was in what, 3rd grade? That's kind of
I was in 5th grade, yeah. Have you actually noticed that, by the way? Now a lot of our new members are a lot older, or at least people are joining the CA when they are a lot older. We don't really have that same I feel like back then it was kind of like a generational thing. Everyone was really interested in the Revolutionary War or whatever it might have been. And I'm guessing everybody here joined around the time where they started teaching you about that war, the Revolutionary War in school.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I beg to differ. We have some NCOs out there that are not below 13, but definitely aren't up there in the age category.
Yeah, I'm just saying they used to, that age group used to dominate the CA.
Yeah,
back then.
yeah.
Today it's a little bit more
yeah.
of the older generation.
Yep.
Do they not teach about the Revolutionary War in school anymore? What the hell's going on?
They should.
I've had courses, but that wasn't why I joined. I just joined because I was looking for because I was interested in the topic, and I just when I was 12 years old probably, and I just stumbled upon the game and then joined, and then got a 45-minute long GMBRT, and here I am.
45-minute, Jesus.
Yeah, it was
that was the same thing for me. I was interested in the topic, and the Bunker Hill came up on my recommended, so I just had to check it out, and here we are.
Yeah.
Those were the days. Okay, moving on here. So, obviously, you're the owner and stuff, but we're going to dive a little bit more into before you were owner. So, what are some notable achievements you've made before you obtained ownership of the group? Yeah, mainly I used to work a lot in terms of, just in the cryptocurrency space. So, I had my own, well, not my own, but I project managed a couple tokens, did a couple things like that, but I got really, really, really educated on Web3 as a whole, which led me to start working for, I don't know if you guys know the name or not, but a guy called Gary Vee, and then kind of went from there.
Yeah, I know.
Before all that, it was school, more school, couldn't get out of fucking school, more school, homework, tests, BS, American school system.
Yep,
Yeah.
sucks.
Oh man. Yeah.
Cody?
Oh, yeah, my bad. So, let's move on. Just, how did you overall just obtain the group? Gain ownership of it?
Well, Nix came to me one day and he was like, listen, I've been working on the CA, been in the CA for so long, and he wanted out. He literally just couldn't do it anymore. And so we got to talking and settled on a price. And the conversations went from there, and here we are today. But it was mostly he was feeling burnt out, and I mean, I get it, right? It was a lot of... When you're part of something for so many years, you... Either one, it's really easy to get burnt out, or two, you stick around, but it's not the same as it was when you first joined, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've kind of been feeling that with CSG a bit recently.
Yeah.
I've not wanting to retire. I've just been staying around so much time, and yeah, I don't know. It's been quite the interesting experience just being around here and not just leaving. Right, I've gotten like nostalgic sometimes and like wanting to retire, but it's overall just like hope that the future will be better. Or it's kept me afloat.
Yeah, same with me. I mean, I've been in CICG almost 2.5 years now, and like I've had lots of times where I felt like leaving, but I don't know. I just like stayed and have like a lot of emotional attachment to not only CICG but CA at this point.
Yeah, and you have to remember that, Nick's has been working on the game for so long that, and he created a lot of tech debt, is what we call it, which is where, he made like some sort of game system or whatever it might have been, a year ago, right? And then he tries to build upon it. And while building upon it, let's say that first system breaks or that first system, something happens to it, right? And now that needs to be updated. But if you update that main system, you have to update every single system that came after that, right, to work with it again. So that's what we're dealing with, even like on the development side, right? Because it went from one dev that would always be working on the CA constantly, and that ended up, to a burnout on Nix's part. And now that we've gone through a couple different devs, but it's kind of like one of those things where you have a new dev come into the CA, they see the tech debt and how much work that would actually have to be done to fix everything, and then they just give up,
Yeah, I feel like that's happened with a lot of devs recently,
Yeah, and if I don't want them to give up, then, well, you gotta pay them. You gotta pay them, well enough to where they can live in the real world, right? So, I've been saying this for a long time, and, it's always, like, the one thing that I go to, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's, he keeps saying it's about the money. Yeah, it's because it is, right? It's, at the end of the day, this game is more than, it became more than a game a while ago, right? It became its own miniature economy, and so whenever the game itself is not doing as well, or there isn't as much revenue coming in, we also can't, like, it's at the point right now where we have so much tech debt, right? But because of that tech debt, we don't get as many new people in or retain as many people as we used to, right? From, like, the OGs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like a never-ending kind of spiral type of thing, which, I mean, we've kind of, like, put plugs in it, right? But it's kind of one of those things like, hey, if you buy a boat, yeah, you can either flex seal it when it gets a hole and keep flex sealing it, but if you keep doing that, eventually the whole boat has to be flex sealed. Why not just build a new boat, right? But to build a new boat, you need to buy a new boat, or buy the materials to to build a new boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a tough situation, but here's what I realized: the CA won't die off of development alone. It's also just how the group runs, etc., which we've been trying to change as much as we can and try to keep it fresh and new and etc., but there's only so much we can do with the funds that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, so just going off everything that you just said there, under your current leadership, how do you feel that the CA has been performing? I can tell you that if I didn't do a lot of drastic measures when it came down to, as soon as I saw the problem of toxicity kind of starting to boil up in the group, I didn't take a lot of drastic measures to kind of bait those people out and get rid of them, the CA would not have been here anymore, because the community is the only thing that's keeping it afloat right now, and without that community, it would have been gone.
Yeah, no, the community
I
is
understand,
one of the big factors that keeps a lot of people, especially like most of us, and just keeps a lot of people around, I assume.
Yeah, with that, keeping out toxic people, I recall one of your first attempts to get rid of that, on, if I think the date's correct, July 10th or 11th, 2022, around then, me, Rixley, and Cody, I don't know if you know Rixley, probably don't, but we were all high comm of CSG, and I was informed that there was a flash inspection to be hosted, and the high comm that fails that will be excommunicated. And
yeah,
so stressed about that.
Yeah, so that was to cause a stir, right? There's a lot of things that I do that, like, kind of purposely cause a stir. Like, for example, when that entire coup thing, someone started reporting a coup and all that stuff happened, right?
Right.
I took a drastic action because what it did at the end of the day was get every single HighCom member together, right? They created their own damn group chat and started talking about it and trying to figure out what was going on, right? If that was happening in the CA every day, do you know how much shit would get done?
A lot.
A lot, exactly, right? And that's how the CA used to run, right? All COs used to talk to each other, and yeah, there was some friendly competition, whatnot, but everybody used to communicate a lot better. And right now, the only way that I'm able to get people to communicate, it seems, is by, well, you know, getting them off their asses, one way or another.
Yep.
And in that situation, obviously, yeah, I wanted to figure out what the heck was up with that entire coup thing, right? Which it ended up being a bunch of nothing, right? But it got solved within an hour and 30 minutes because everybody came together and started, you know, actually contributing to fixing the issue rather than, you know, just sitting back and hoping it goes away, which a lot of people seem to like to do nowadays.
Yeah. Well,
like at the end of the day, it's not just me as the owner. It's not HQ, you know, the governing structure. It's not just them that keep the CA alive, and I feel like that's what a lot of people have to realize, is that it's also on them. Even when down to like the smallest of ranks, like freaking a private or even a militia that is actually in the group and, you know, just doing militia things, they all have a role to play to keep this group alive and to keep, and, you know, even potentially have the group prosper, right? Because everybody kind of needs to put in at least a little bit of something if they want a true community rather than just a random game that people hop onto and then forget about.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That little not working. Oh, go on.
I'm just gonna cut this part out. Cody, we're gonna skip 5 because he kind of already answered that, so just pick up straight with 6.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. Hoorah.
All right. Yeah. Well, back on that little working together kind of thing. It's some LRs are like, well, what can I do? I'm just a little low rank. I don't really serve a purpose in the CA, and it's like I don't think many LRs out there understand that like it's not really those little individuals built together are the building blocks for the entire CA. If it weren't for that one little private there, the entire like Jenga tower would become unstable. And yeah, it's really all just like one big Jenga tower. That's what CA is. Yeah, I mean, the LRs are the foundation of the community, right? Everything else is built on top of that. And so when obviously if the LRs do want change in something and they are vocal about it, right? Then the right people up the chain of command, they'll hear what needs to be heard. And if anybody within that chain of command says, "Oh, you know, your idea," okay, some ideas are dumb. I'm not even gonna lie, right? There's no such thing. Hey, I know that there's people that say there's no such thing as a bad idea. There are bad ideas. A lot out there,
right?
Yeah, too many.
And obviously that's why our chain of command will filter out a lot of things, right? But if anyone's being rude about it, or anyone's like, never fucking talk to me again, or whatever it might be.
Yep.
You know, let somebody else know. Like, let somebody in HQ know about it just directly. It's one of there's a certain situation where you can kind of jump up the chain, and that's when, you know, that chain is being blocked by someone.
Yeah.
And yeah, I will definitely agree with the whole LRs are the backbone of the entire CA, because like we just had a little bit of a dip in RTs, and like the entire regiment basically slowed down from that for a while there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
like said, I mean, RT's really keep up the group, and usually when CICG has had like a faltering in RT amounts, then, you know, it's seen lower amounts of like activity, and, you know, CA overall, when there's not enough like RTs and new players, sees that. So new players and the current low ranks and even the NCOs, they are like really like you said, the backbone of the community and the group itself.
Yeah, and you know, to the NCOs listening to this is why we push you guys so hard to get more RTs, because they really just fuel the fire of the entire CA.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
And honestly, I also do think that in a lot of ways, regiments should be looking at the people that aren't actually active in doing RTs and doing like, because look, everyone in the CA has a job, they have a role, right? NCOs, mostly their role is to train new recruits, bring new recruits in, right, and then retain those recruits. And then obviously officers to oversee all of that. But if there are NCOs that are just not doing that, I feel like a lot of HighCom has forgotten that they're allowed to demote people, right?
Mhm.
I know that we have like certain time limits and yada yada yada, but if someone's not ready for the next rank, don't put them in the next rank.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
because at the end of the
fully
day,
agree.
it's like you put somebody that is not ready for an NCO position into NCO, and they're just being power hungry, and all they're there for is that quote unquote Lego power. It's not the people that you want within the community, really.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
and that goes for officers as well. Like if you have just like a bunch of rank hungry NCOs that are just like active but not great, and they get into officer ranks, and that leads to bad officers, and bad officers leads to like bad NCOs, and then bad NCOs lead to bad LRs. It's a whole chain. So kind of got to make sure that there's a lot of quality within the group instead of just focusing on that quantity that a lot of NCOs and officers today really care about. It's not mostly about the amount of events; it's about the quality of the events, the quality of the LRs, the quality of all the staff, and I think that's what a lot of people should just focus on: quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll cut this part out, but Cody, just go ahead and pick up with 6 because we already
Yeah,
covered
no,
5, to be honest.
All right, so let's move on to 6. Do you have any plans for the future of CA that you would like to just disclose to mostly everybody?
So the main thing that we've been trying to do and trying to get kind of going was, I'm sure you guys have seen like the little beta test of the Wars.
Yeah.
The Wars game. So the entire reasoning behind Wars was to have a game that anybody could just join and not need to join the group and not need to do very much aside from just kind of play, gamified rounds.
Yeah, just like combat.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you see it all over Roblox, right? Those games having thousands of players doing pretty much the exact same thing. Just there haven't been really any in this era.
Yeah, like there's some game out there that a lot of CA people have been getting like a bit interested in. There's the battles out there. Cody knows it. This guy Jeff here knows it. It's kind of just like skirmishes. You fight for team deathmatch or capture the hill, and it gets a ton of people in there. And, yeah.
And so that's one thing that we've been working on trying to get out, and just over time, it's like that game in itself doesn't have as many core systems, right? It doesn't have a bunch of old code. It doesn't have a bunch of old crap that we have to deal with, right? So it's a lot easier to develop, and it's a lot easier to actually, bring out and update eventually. But it also gives the ability to, bring in some more revenue to the CA from players that aren't actually part of the, I would say like the CA community, the core community. But at the same time, it brings more attention to that core community, so it could bring more players, right? Big thing is, though, like I said, is that it doesn't have the tech debt, which means that, in theory, right, as Wars gets a little bit more prevalent, we're going to be able to actually, I know a lot of people are like, musket system, we're able to, without the tech debt, actually start editing that script, right, without having everything break.
Yeah.
Right, we're actually able to do the tests that we need to do, and we don't have to interrupt Bunker Hill, right? Because in a lot of cases, when we're doing updates, or we try to do an update, because of how Bunker Hill works, we have to restart our servers, right? And we have to go test it in-game. Because that's just how the Roblox API works currently for us, is because, like, our studio instance is not the same as a live server. Right, and sometimes we need to test things on live servers, and so it caused a whole lot of, like, you guys remember those days where everything, just the server would be restarted every freaking hour because we're trying to change something, and then something would be broken, we got to restart again, and then, So, once again, that's all tech debt, right, because we fixed something, and then something else broke.
Yep.
Right, with Wars, at the very least, it's not as complicated of a system, and we're hoping to get that out, and once we get that out, kind of just go from there. Right, whether that means updating Bunker Hill with the code that we've now created, or pretty much starting from scratch.
Yep.
And by starting from scratch, I don't mean the actual game. I'm just talking about the code base.
Oh.
A lot of this just relies right now on the code. Like, the code is just, it's so old, it's so clunky. There's new things that we're trying to add that then we add, and it breaks an old thing, and then that old thing breaks another old thing, and like every small update just ends up taking freaking 2 weeks to even try to get to a working state. Like, remember that housing system? not even the housing
Oh,
system,
yep,
but just like the
yep,
shops and
yeah.
everything.
The shops.
That took us, I think, I believe a total of like, let's see, like development time, like maybe like 45 hours total.
Yeah, it's like
Because other shit kept breaking.
I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like some like dirty kind of closet. It's just like a whole mess, and like it's just not really managed quite well. I kind of can see that in some kind of games, like this game. This game right now.
The game's so old that as Roblox Studio even upgrades and updates, there's a lot of things that go and break because they are no longer used. Like certain ways of coding no longer work because they switch to a new system, and then that in itself takes hours to actually update as well, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of people I know complain about not having new updates. Well, it's because right now we're literally every single time something breaks, we're always on fixing mode. We're always plugging a hole, just plugging a hole, and that's just like all we really can do until we're actually able to catch up, and we can't catch up right now because, well, we don't have the funding for it.
Yeah.
Just the code's like just like a mess sometimes, like whenever you do the updates. So I mean it's pretty tough to fix that. I mean, especially like that even happened to us today because we tried to add your uniform into the game and then it just like broke the whole uniform script. So it's really tedious to fix a lot of the code on Roblox just because Roblox is Roblox. But I mean, the code is the backbone of the game. So
Yeah, I do remember the days of the constant like server resetting and stuff.
Yeah.
so
Don't get me wrong, if Bunker Hill was created like today, right? Like totally recreated today as a new game, it would be really easy to to upkeep. But because of how old the game is and how old the code is, like there are things now that you can write in like 500 lines of code that on our end those systems are still using like 5,000 to 6,000 lines of code, right? Because back then we didn't have the functions even implemented into Roblox. We had to write them ourselves, right? And once again, like we just got to get rid of that tech debt. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but for the time being, it's just gonna be slowly over time.
Yeah. All right. Well,
so just rolling into the next one here, and you don't have to answer this one if you don't want to, but in any situation, would you ever consider giving up or selling the CA? No, because I've said it multiple times, and I'll say it again. I don't feel like can I sell? Yeah, I can, but I'm not going to, right? Because at the end of the day, more than anything, this group, and as I told you before, I joined somewhere back when I was in 7th, 8th grade, right? There's a lot of good memories here, right? And it's kind of like the same thing where when I had the conversation with Nix, I was the only one who got that offer to do it and he didn't give that offer to anybody else or even try giving that offer to anybody else because he didn't trust anybody else with the CA, right? I don't want this group to go to someone that all of a sudden is like money. Like every single Roblox game right now, and I understand why they do it, but it's just money. Fucking Game Pass here, Game Pass. Not just like weapons or anything like that. No. They have fucking subscriptions now. They have premium rewards and whatever the heck else. A lot of these games have loot boxes and random just Lego items that you're never going to use in the real world, and you're just a bunch they're getting kids, and it's mostly kids. It's literally mostly people anywhere between the ages of like 9 and 13, right? And it just said I was idle for 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
But it's kids ages 9 and 13 that are spending their parents' money, right? And they just jump on it. Every single game on Roblox right now just jumps straight onto that. Like, I don't know. Like, when it comes down to morals, it's pretty screwed up, right? Because they're putting systems into these games that are directly, like, they make it addictive to a kid. Like, adults or even people that just are above the age of 13, they're less likely to be influenced by that type of stuff. Oh, bright, shiny colors, cool little animations, whatever that might be. But I just don't want the CA to go to someone like that because those are the only people that are going to be trying to buy the group. Let's be honest here. right?
Yeah.
They're going to try to capitalize on the community. They're going to try to capitalize on the amount of Discord members it has. And all of a sudden, you're going to start seeing advertisements for other games in the damn server, right? It's not what you want.
Yep.
So you're saying that you're just like you're not listening to any offers you wouldn't entertain anything at all.
Yeah, and also I think
I'm
people just
not.
try to
I've gotten.
say,
I'm gonna be like completely open here. I've gotten an offer, like a genuine offer from some fucking like firm or you know those like they have like these studios now on Roblox where they're like young adults with way too much money just like try to buy groups and then make a profit off of them.
yeah, and
Yeah, I've gotten genuine offers to like sell a group for like I think it was like 17.5 grand, something like that.
Yeah,
Which I said no to pretty quickly because you can already tell that the only thing they're going to do is just suck the rest of the life out of the community.
yeah, that'd be horrible for the community. Like they just like buy it and then shove it under like the carpet, and will never be seen again from like anything big.
What they'll
And
do
then
is
clean it
they'll
out.
buy it, suck out any blood it has left in terms of revenue, and then shove it under the carpet. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a real eye opener because previously a lot of people think like that you're holding CA to be like a greedy kind of person to like capitalize off the money,
like a
but bringing
hostage.
perspective into things like you aren't really the person holding us captive. You're protecting us from those people that would hold the captive. So,
Dude,
thank you for that.
if I was to suck all the money out of the CEA and stop paying for any type of development in terms of like fixes or anything like that, right? I'd literally only be getting maybe $400 a month. Like it's not worth it for me to do that. Why would I? Because it'd only kill the group completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the old player base will, like most, like you said earlier, like the OGs, like the now 17, 16-year-olds, that like are a lot of officers and NCOs these days, they'd probably really dislike it. Because like you said, the people that are above 13 don't really like the monetization. And so we'd probably lose a lot of big player base, like a massive part of our player base and our, active officers and NCOs and LRs, if the group was just kind of like a cash cow,
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are other groups out there where you have to pay to fucking enter their seasons or their version of seasons. Every single freaking person that is in a regiment has to pay a certain Robux fee or some weird thing like that. And they hide it behind, oh, it's for a grand prize for whoever wins. Dude, they're taking like 50% off the top of that.
Yeah.
Cody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of future plans, as we all know, Bunker Hill 2. We want to know when it's coming.
Oh man, this is more of like a joke question.
The big release.
Bunker Hill 2. Bunker Hill 2 happens when we can catch up with the damn code base, right?
Yeah.
Like, and by the way, a lot of people I know had like issues with me like bringing out like the server subscriptions and da 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 da. Here's the thing, like, if all the active people in the CA signed up for like $1 a month, a lot of shit would be very, very quickly fixed. Not only fixed, I mean that'd be enough to start making a whole that would be enough to start making a Bunker Hill 2. Right.
Yeah, I remember like this could be almost 2 years ago now when I believe you and Sen Vortex were actually working on a Bunker Hill 2 or something of similar sorts. But obviously,
we have a map and things like that. Yeah, I mean, we have a map built and all that, but it's just like, once again, you run into the problem of funding, right? And we did put in a lot of time into it, and we put a lot of funding into it to try and get something going. But then, once it was realized that, hey, we're not going to be able to keep up with it, right? And that's when the actual subscriptions, like the service subscriptions and stuff came out. It was just one of those things where I was like, hey, I made a call to the community being like, y'all, if y'all are looking for this game to go somewhere, if y'all are looking for, the things you've been asking for, this is what's needed. And unfortunately, it didn't come through, which I understand because a lot of the CA is a lot younger. So obviously they might not have the money to give, right?
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, it kind of is being stuck in between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah,
You're just kind of
no, it makes
wedged in there, and you can't really, it's I don't know. There's a lot of like stigma around, having those subscriptions and having, revenue outside of Roblox that's related to the group, but it's what's needed in a lot of senses, unless, we had a game that was a cash cow, right? The
yeah,
reasoning why a whole lot of these like kind of era groups are able to stick around, like, you have Men of War and what was that other one, like Kingdoms or something like that.
NW battles, all that
yeah,
stuff.
NW.
Yeah. So battles, yeah, they're not even a group. They're just cash cows. That's all they do.
Yeah, especially battles. Like games like Game Passes for days.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's a reason for that, right? Because they're going with that model of suck every little bit of monetization you can out of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about the Robux part of it, like a lot of people have been talking about like advertisements about how like Nick's used to run them a lot, and I remember you running them a lot. Like you did like what was it, like the
Ads?
20K weekends for ads, but
Yeah. Ads
that
changed.
yeah, I thought
They no
the
longer
new
show
ad
up
phase,
to
right?
yeah, they no longer show up to people under 13. They no longer show up for people that actually turn them off in a sense. And to run ads, you also have to now, send your pretty much give your ID up to Roblox and get verified. That way, I am right, but it's just the total amount of people that used to see those ads and interact with those ads. And like I said before, when we were running those ads, even if it was someone that didn't join the group, it would be a lot of younger people, obviously with their parents' money or whatever it is, that would go in, buy a bunch of game passes, and that kept the group alive. Right? We don't have that anymore. We don't have that opportunity anymore. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, because now you get a lot of above 13 people, which would either just join the group, leave the game, or play the game, but not really buy anything. And back to like Robux. Robux itself is not a valuable currency, because I know the CA group probably has an amount of Robux, but it's definitely not enough to keep the group afloat, like you've been talking
Exactly.
about. Because Robux is just so valueless, and
I mean, think about it this way:
ads.
if you pay $1 for 100 Robux, right, and I were to go and make that into US dollars again through DevX and whatever else it might be, it's 35 cents. Roblox takes 75%.
It's a lot.
Yeah, no,
And they take 75% after they already take another 30% on the actual sale. So you know how they take 30% from the sale of any Game Pass?
Yeah.
And then and then you get that amount. So let's say 1,500, and then you only, let's say like make it easy, 1,000, right? And then the group only gets 700, and then from that 700, then 75% of that is taken, and then you get the dollar value.
Yeah. It's like nothing.
So it's tough.
Yeah, and especially with like how ads used to work, even it was like still like a lot of Robux just to get enough people in the games, Because I remember you saying that in like an announcement or something, that like you spend like a lot of Robux on the advertisements anyways, and it's still not enough really.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if I may, like turn this into like a side question, do you see a bright future for the CA?
I can definitely see a bright future for the CA as long as we can get that tech debt taken care of. And I've been searching for ways to get that revenue up, but I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, the community has to rally together here, right? I can't do everything on my own. I don't have the money to do everything on my own. It's just one of those things. It depends on the community.
Yeah.
Like it or not, this game is completely based on the community. 100% based on the community. Like, there's nothing that I can do about people not wanting to give $1 a month or $2 a month or whatever it might be. If the community doesn't want to keep it afloat, then we can't keep it afloat. Now, obviously, if I get a good job or whatever, or I start making a decent amount, personally, I'll start funding more stuff in the CA with my own money again, right? But just recently, especially with all the shit that's happening with the economy, a lot of things going on.
Nope. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I understand with money and everything, because I've been recently, I can kind of see that in a sense, because I've been helping out the CICG server, as Bill and X might know. getting blocks like premium and server boosting, and it is expensive. So just putting a lot of money into and I've seen groups, like I've been in groups where people have put like hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars and are still like not gotten even like 10,000 members, So it's a lot of money to keep a group running and
Exactly.
make it better.
Yeah.
All right, so if that pretty much covers everything here, we'll take a cut and then I'll just continue with our outro.
All right then.
Yep, I believe so. That's all the questions.
Alrighty, well, we honestly thank you a lot, Iron, for participating in this, and we are very happy to be hosting you here. Thank you for giving us kind of like an insight into what goes on behind the scenes of CA, like behind all the regiments and stuff. More of like an insight on the dev stuff and all that, so thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no, very, very
no
happy
problem.
for
Thanks for having me.
me talking for this, because it's really eye-opening to a lot of things. A lot of people have questions about this that sometimes don't get to you, and they want answers to it. And really happy that this is gonna go out there.
Yeah, we've had a lot of like CA personnel and stuff on. They're talking about like the regiments and the events and stuff, but this is our first dive into like the dev side of CA,
Yeah, which a lot of people, I mean, I've talked about it before, but just not a lot of people want to listen. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where somebody comes into my DMs and they're like, they want to know about these things, and I'm like, dude, I had a whole, like, we've had meetings about this before, we've had a whole community get-togethers about this before. Hopefully now we got it recorded, and I can just send them this, but at the end of the day, yes, I am listening to the community, and I need to listen to the community. HQ needs to listen to the community. That entire structure needs to listen to the community, but at the exact same time, the community needs to listen to us. Right?
No,
It's a two-way
exactly.
street.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of my main goals when I kicked this whole thing off months ago, was that this can kind of be like an outlet for people to come voice their opinions, and hopefully everyone listens.
Yeah, it's a very good thing that you're doing here. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
All right. Thank you.
Yes,
Yep,
thank you.
well,
I've been your co-host, King.
And I've been your host, Cody, and we thank you all for watching. Thank you.
All right.